All right, well then I'm going to go ahead and introduce Sheri Schwartz, who will be giving uh, a demonstration on Ocean Map Insights. Sheri is our project manager and operations coordinator with TetraTech, and she works very closely with MARACOOS to have Ocean's Map running wonderfully all the time. Thank you, Sheri.
Thank you, Jana. Hi, everyone. As Jana said, I'm Sheri Schwartz and I work at TetraTech Ocean Science. We are MARACOOS's data managers and have recently worked with the MARACOOS team to develop the OceansMap Insights. And we are continuously improving these. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we can explore them a bit together. All right, you should be able to see my screen now. Now, the OceansMap Insights are pre-made permalinks to interactive maps and dashboards, and they were designed to provide quick and easy access to real-time data for a variety of scenarios and users. There are currently 22 insights, and they're organized into 5 categories that are shown at the top of the page here. So let's just go ahead and pick one to explore together. I already opened it in a new tab, but I'm going to explore this water temperature anomaly one. So this is the water temperature anomaly insight. And now for those of you who have never seen Ocean's Map before, I'll give you a really quick orientation. And when it first opens up, you'll of course see the map with some data visualizations and analyses, especially if you clicked on a permalink or an insight like this. Like most map-based portals, you can navigate by clicking and dragging the map. You can zoom, such as with the mouse on your wheel or your trackpad if you're using a laptop. We also have these zoom buttons down here as plus and minus buttons and a zoom to box selection in the top right. Alongside this tool on the top right, we also have a few other icons up here. And these are really helpful tools for sharing, collaborating, or gathering more information on your data layers. So this one right here is how you would generate a permalink. We call it share this view. And you would simply adjust your settings and create your URL, and then you could just save and share that URL with anyone, and they'll open up the exact same view. We also have a screenshot tool, a tool to generate animations of your data as it moves over or changes over time. The Activate Hover Tooltip option allows you to just hover over your data on the map and pull up just some data points really quickly at that location. You can also measure distances, and of course, you can open up your legend. And then over here on the left, we have a lot of icons that are just tools that are really helpful for exploring and analyzing your data. So this does include our catalog, which has the full list of all of the layers that are available on Ocean's Map, and they're all organized into these categories as well. We also have our virtual stations tool over here, weather window planning. You can run validation statistics. You could generate your own shapes and lines and virtual stations, of course, but like data, like points on the map if you want to draw a custom layer. You can change the base map. We're actually using compare mode, as you can see by this slider, so I'm going to circle back to this tool in a moment. And then we have a list of insights in here as well for quick access and a feedback form. So if you ever have questions, feedback, concerns, comments on Ocean's Map or the data that you're looking at, or if you just need help finding something, please feel free to use this form to reach out to us. The email will come to me as well as to the MARACOOS team. Okay, so now I'm going to pivot back to diving into this insight a little bit more deeply. And like I said, we are looking at compare mode. So let me open up that tool and take a deeper look. So I can see here we have our GOES sea surface temperature as well as our sea surface temperature anomaly both on the map. And in the compare mode tool, we can toggle the slider on and off with that toggle up there. And we can also determine how we want to differentiate on each side of the map, how we want our data to show. So for this one, we've got the sea surface temperature on the left and the anomaly on the right. If we wanted either layer to be across the entire map, we would see this, we would select the circle and then it changes blue like that. Okay, so now that I kind of can see what I'm looking at here, we do see in our legend this color palette. It's got the full spectrum for the left side of the map, and that's the temperature value. And then the anomaly on the right side is only showing, it's like a different color palette, right? It's just blue to red and going from -5 to 5. So what this one's telling us is if temperatures are lower than average, they're going to be that blue color. And if they're higher than average, they're going to be that red color. With compare mode, we could also, for example, if we wanted to zoom in on like a New York or New Jersey location that's close to this relevant to this group, we could definitely do that. And then it's pretty easy to use the compare mode slider to just explore how that data changes on each side of the map. We could also set a virtual station by clicking somewhere on the map, and then we'll see our data points down here in this table. If we wanted to just save this, come back to it later and revisit this exact location, we could do that. So in order to get started, I would first want to add to my virtual stations. And as soon as I do that, we get a nice colored buoy, a label, and over here on the left, we see the virtual station has appeared. So coming into this tool, I can edit it, I can change the name, add a description, change the color. I can even change the location if I realize, you know what, I want to be a little over here. Click save and it moves it, or you could just drop in GPS coordinates if you have those as well. You can create as many virtual stations as you need, so you can add more. You could even import your own CSV file and upload them that way. In order to come back to this, you do need to update that permalink. So I would just open up the Share This View tool once more and generate a new URL. So you do need to copy and save that new URL. The insight link itself, such as like what's on the landing page, won't update just because you made some changes. Just keep that in mind. All right. Moving into the next insight, so this one we're going to look at is in a dashboard format, and this is the Boater Safety in Long Island Sound dashboard. So this one is designed to kind of just help boaters safely navigate through the sound by providing an in-depth understanding of current conditions. So right off the bat, we see a lot of important information. Up here at the top, we have these observation metrics that are coming from a co-op's buoy. We've got 1 minute water level, wind speed, and wind direction. We also have the valid time here so that you could see just how up to date that data is coming through. Right beneath that, we have a data table which has predicted values. So these are coming from models such as NWPS and the MARACOOS water level model as well, just to help understand more predicted values of different types of data that's available. And these are all coming from the same location, which is this gold virtual station that I created on the Mini Oceans map. Now this takes me to the Mini Oceans map part of the dashboard, which is pretty cool. So it's a new feature, and it just allows us to basically embed OceansMap into the dashboard. So it shows some data layers are loaded on the map. I can open up my legend to take a look at those. We do have NDBC and co-op stations. We also have wave predictions, which are both, I think, about 50% opacity. That's why you can see them overlapping here. So you could see how those two different models agree or disagree. We also have water level predictions and then a lot of wave height and wave period as well, but those are all fully transparent. Now, because you can't just look at this and see all of the data layers at once, we do also have the Activate Hover tooltip. So you could just click on that, hover on a specific location and just give it 1 second, and it'll give you a really nice view of all that data and just a very quick snapshot, which is really cool. Okay, so scrolling down, we also see this weather window time series. Now this example is showing, it's going to show you green when conditions are ideal for boating and navigation. So that is when waves are below 3 feet and winds are less than 20 knots. Red displays when waves are greater than 7 feet or winds are above 40 knots, and yellow would display for values in between. So in this scenario, we can see that we have an entirely green time series, which means that conditions have been pretty good and are predicted to continue to be so through, or at least until the morning of August 1st. Scrolling down more below this, we have some additional prediction time series for some key metrics, including wave height and wave direction. We've got tides, predicted water temperature, and then of course rose plots at the bottom, which display some forecasted winds and currents. Now, like the map insights, the dashboards are also very easy to update for your needs and kind of adjust things as you need to, and then save a new permalink. For example, if you could change these thresholds in the weather window tool. And so I'll just show you how to do that. First, you want to click this unlock button, and then as soon as that's available, you can play with the dashboard in any way you want. You can kind of change the way the size and format, as well as clicking on these pencil icons to actually edit the settings for each widget. So if I were to click on this time series setting, I can see my thresholds and how they're set here. So I can always adjust those as needed for my needs. Just click the Save widget, and it'll update that in the widget as well. And then when you're done, you would just lock it and generate a new permalink. Before I do move on from this insight, I just want to mention this mini oceans map tool once more, because if you did want to either edit it or explore it, or just really explore the full functionality of Oceans Map of this same view, you could basically, these mini Oceans maps are generated through a permalink. So if you open the edit settings menu, you can grab that permalink and put it in a new tab, and it will automatically pull up everything that I had shown that we had available at the exact same view. So you could really dive into it and explore it, add your own virtual stations, add different layers, change whatever it is that's going to be most useful to you. You would, of course, need to save that new permalink from the map view and then copy it, oops, sorry, and paste it back into your settings here, save your widget, and then create a new permalink for your dashboard. So it was a little bit of a few steps there, but very flexible and very handy, which I think is pretty cool. All right, now I'm going to move on to our next insight. And this one is our East Coast storm tracking insight. So for this one, we're looking back at our map view, and we can see some data that's loaded right away that gives a high-level overview of storm-related information along the East Coast, especially. So I opened up my legend to take a look at what we have here. And we see that we have wind predictions from GFS winds, which are, of course, the barbs on the map. We've got gliders loaded. We have SDOF surge tide. That I know is at 0% 0% opacity right now, and I'll show you how to look for that as well. And then the global wave height is what we see as the color overlay on the map. We do also in this insight have an active storms layer from the National Hurricane Center, but we don't see those cones or anything like that on the map at the moment because there are no storms predicted out there for right now. Okay, so let me just take a look at the data layers. So one quick tip here is if you do look at this full catalog, it can be a lot. So if you click the active section or filter, it will filter out anything that's not currently active on your map. So it's really handy. You don't have to do as much scrolling. As I mentioned, I know that this one has been adjusted, but if you ever want to check or play with settings, you would just click that gear icon next to the layer name. And so this one is at 0% opacity. If you want to get more information about the layer, if you will need to access the actual data, you can do that by clicking the info icon, where we'll usually have a background abstract on that data set and access links as well. So this insight, we also have a virtual station preloaded here at Elizabeth City. So I'm just going to go ahead and zoom into that. And as soon as I click on that station, it's going to pull up some data from that location. But let's say we're maybe more interested in a location further north, and maybe we want to understand how the model data sets in this insight are comparing to observations or even another model. So first, I just wanted to kind of zoom in here closer to the New York, New Jersey area. And now I'm going to open up, let me close this. There we go. All right, now I'm going to open up our validation tool. And so once I'm in here, I can choose the parameter that I want to validate. And so in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and say wind speed. And then we have to pick a baseline. So the baseline could be another wind speed model, or it could be an observation station. So I can just click show available stations, and OceansMap will pop up with all the available stations that have current winds data that I can use to validate my model. So I found one that I knew was working. I'm going to go ahead and click on this one from Waretown. And then I just pick my comparison, which I want to use the same model. And once I've got that selected, all I need to do is click calculate, give it a moment, and it will generate a few bits of information for us to help us understand our validation here. So we'll get an error statistics table, a scatter plot showing observed data on the x-axis and model data on the y-axis, as well as a simple time series with both data sets showing the observations and predicted values over time. So you can really see where those sources aligned and when they differed. It's still loading those, so I'm going to give it a moment, and I'm going to actually move on to the next one, and we'll circle back. I think it'll be done loading by the time we come back. All right, so this is the last insight that I have to show you today. This one is a little bit more geared towards recreational users. This is what we refer to as our surfer's dashboard. It is perhaps a little more simple than the one that we looked at earlier, but I think that really shows the flexibility of the dashboards and insights and really just how they can be adapted to specific user groups or various needs. So as soon as it loads, once again, we have some real-time observation data up here at the top, nice and big and really handy to see, especially if you're like on a phone. Um, and then we also have our oceans map here as well. And this one is depicting winds, which are these white animated streamlines we see. We also have wave direction um, and wave period and wave height from the NWPS sources in the Chesapeake and the Philadelphia region as well. Scrolling down, we do have some time series as well. So these are showing the observed data from the past 48 hours as well as modeled predictions during that time, but also covering the next 48 hours for wind speed and wave height. We also show 2 time series for wave period and direction. And then over here on the bottom left, we have a rose plot for wave direction and period. And I think this was plus and minus 2 days as well. Before I wrap up, let me just go back here. Oh no, it generated an error. It worked earlier today. Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and see if that loads, but for now I'll wrap things up. I know that everything was a bit of a whirlwind, but I think that that's all we have time for today. Additionally, if you are curious about, or sorry, I was going to say, please don't hesitate to use that feedback form if you do have any suggestions or questions after today. But also, if you're curious about learning more about how to use any of these tools, or if you just want to learn more about any of the ones I didn't have time to cover today, you can find some really great tutorials on MARACOOS's YouTube channel. Oh, look, it just finished loading. Awesome. So like I said, we've got our error statistics, our scatter plot, and our data comparison. So for example, if you wanted to know more about how to access or how to use this validation tool, you could go to the MARACOOS YouTube channel, like I was saying, but these tools also have that eye icon at the top of them. And within that, we've got this really detailed kind of a cheat sheet on how to use the tool and what goes into it, as well as those videos embedded in here. So you can find them very easily. All right. Thank you very much. I'll hand this back over to the Oceans or the MARACOOS team.
Thank you, Sherry. We actually have a couple of questions for you in the chat if you want
Oh,
to
sure.
pull those up. We've got one from Dave.
The question from Dave is asking about the period that the ghost temp anomaly is used to compare to average climatology baseline. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if there's anyone on this call who would, but I can definitely, it doesn't look like it. I can definitely find out and get back to you, Dave.
Awesome. Thank you, Sherry. And we've got two other questions in here. Um, one is the idea that all the state water level data will be aggregated up into a regional layer in OceansMap? If so, and adding to Dave's previous question, would it be able to use that layer in our other GIS systems? And what sort of insights do you envision providing with this water level data? Um, I
Um,
think that,
so
go ahead, Sherry.
no, you can finish your thought.
I was just going to say, I think that in terms of the insights for the water level data, we're still really trying to build out those insights and get feedback on what would be helpful for different communities and stakeholders. And I think that's kind of one thing we can certainly gather feedback on and see what makes sense for us to build out in the future as all this water level data gets put into OceansMap over the next year or so. What are your thoughts, Sherry?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And with the webcams that we have on Ocean's Map as well, which I can share if we have some time afterward, but I think those would also be really useful in an insight, and we could, pair that with water level data and um, definitely I think a lot of different like flood monitoring or, different types of users that we could support with those insights, I think. Um, in terms of the first questions, is the idea that all state water level data will be aggregated into a regional layer. I don't know if that's the plan, but I think that's definitely doable. So it's something we could work on if we were asked to. Um, and we'd be happy to take a look at that. If there's like data sources that you're thinking about and wanted to shoot my way, please don't hesitate to reach out. We can absolutely just poke around, take a look at what's available and see what it would take to put it into Ocean's Map. And I think for the second question, I'm guessing a little bit here, but I think we would be able to provide that in a way that it could be used in other GIS systems, but I would have to confirm that for sure too.
And then we've got one other question from Ellen, who is our attended audience for Insights? And have you gotten much feedback from audience on usability? Um, so, I mean, for our audience, I mean, I think it's pretty spread out. We're trying to make insights for different types of audiences and kind of target more that way, both regionally and for use cases, whether it's like recreational boating data or, you know, beach data or storms. It just kind of, our audience is all over the place, and we're trying to create insights that will target different types of audiences. Um, and we have not gotten much feedback on usability, but we would love to get feedback, and that's why we've got that feedback option on there. The more feedback, the better, and the more better that we can make things moving forward. So any feedback that anyone has, please send our way. Um, okay, awesome. Sure. Do you want to show real quick where the
Yeah,
web camera data is pulling from an oceans map right now?
yeah,
That,
no problem. I already pulled it up.
thank you very much.
I think you can see my screen now. So when you open up OceansMap, originally there will be a couple of default layers. If you want to turn those off, you can just click this eye icon and it turns everything that's active off. And then I just opened up the data catalog and we've got our categories. So we have one webcams category with the WebCoos layer. As soon as you click on that, we've got those 3 locations that Philip was showing us earlier. And you can hover over these or click on the station and it's going to load that same preview. And if you click on it, it's going to pull it up even bigger for you as well. It'll have the date and the time. So, it's 2:37 p.m. right now, but the most recent time image we have is 1:52. You can also see the link to the actual WebCoos page. So if you wanted to open that up, this is really handy. You can see, again, a map of not just where it is on the map, but also which direction it's pointed, which could be super helpful. I mean, there's a lot of archived 10-minute stills in here as well. Of course, you could also explore the time slider in OceansMap and go back to see older images as well. And so like Philip said, we've got 3 in here and they all work just the same. Yeah, that's basically it. Very simple. But like I said, I could definitely see these being in an insight with some flood data and just about, whatever else would be important. I think we could really come up with something powerful.
Yes, agreed. And I think that that will be our plan as we move forward and all this data actually starts getting collected once things are deployed. Um, Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Sheri. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Sheri or Dr. Phil Borton or Tina before we wrap up this afternoon?